Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's PARSIQ AMA. We postponed from last week because last week our team was at Solana Breakpoint. I couldn't go because I broke my leg, but Simon, Ross, and others were there to represent the team. Everything went really well, but I'll dive more deeply into that later. Today on the AMA, we have Danny, who is the product owner, basically VP of product of the ParsiQ platform. And today's AMA, I would like it to be more focused on the product and its roadmap and Danny, of course. So while I will be taking some other questions in between, this should be the main focus of the AMA, while some other topics, like, for example, IQ protocol, we will be having a dedicated AMA in December for IQ. So hi, Danny.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here today.
So you have a background in IT. You've worked at quite large corporations, giants like internet and technology companies, unicorns, publicly listed companies. And now you're at a startup and a blockchain one at that. And you're managing the development of a fairly complex product. So maybe you can give a bit of background on yourself and what made you make this choice, and how has this journey been so far?
Yeah, sure. So indeed, I do come from technical background, more technical and development than management at that point. I've been doing that since 2010, 2011, been to all kinds of projects, startups, IT giants, Russian ones, Estonian ones, all this sort of stuff. And I do think that this experience helped me a lot here. So I've joined PARSIQ in March of this year. I have previously known Alan, and he approached me in the beginning of this year. We had a lot of calls, discussions, like what is the project, or what are the responsibilities. We were trying to figure out whether I'm fit for this position or not, and we decided that, well, yes. And I think so far it works out pretty well. My previous experience indeed helps me a lot. Blockchain is extremely technical space. It's not just it's not just about finances. It's about the tech itself, and it does help a lot to manage development of the product when you have the corresponding experience.
Yeah, definitely. And so has this, let's say, been challenging so far? Diving deep into blockchain complexities.
I would say, of course, it is challenging in some ways. I mean, in some ways, my expertise does help, like my previous expertise. From another angle, for me, it was my actually first crypto project, and to be honest, it was my first crypto experience at all. And of course, it's such a giant field with everything changing so fast. Like new things, like new concepts, they do appear like on a daily basis. And of course, it is quite challenging to get into this space when everything changes and emerges so fast.
For sure. The Gitcoin hackathon. This was the PARSIQ second hackathon. First one was ETH Denver, way back in February. And this is the second, relatively few submissions in ETH Denver, and quite a lot this time. So it was a cross-chain DeFi hackathon. Are you happy with the results? What do you think?
I am extremely uplifted about the results, because when I was first approached by the team, by when they came to me asking, hey, we're participating in Gitcoin, no one asked do you think we can participate in hackathon right now? I just faced the fact. And at first I was like, oh guys, we don't have ParsiQL 2.0, we don't have the SDKs that we want to develop, all this sort of stuff. So I was a little bit skeptical about that. But when we were actually planning the hackathon, planning the bounties, it started to look much better, and I really liked what we came up with, in the sense of the bounties. And even though at this moment at hackathon start, I was still a little bit skeptical, I was very happy with the results. We had a lot of amazing submissions. I mean, that we didn't expect this big of a hype, around our bounties. And in the end, we got around 20 plus submissions with really good projects. And it was very, heartwarming to see that stuff is being built, even though we don't have this, we don't have the ParsiQL 2.0 yet. We don't have these SDKs that we want to provide for the developers. We still don't have it, but it is not the main thing. I mean, those are convenient tools, of course, but still, with the existing tech, you still can do a lot. It was, it was very interesting experience. It was really nice to see what can be built, when you are not limited by use cases. Just have the tech and come up with something.
Yeah, agreed. I was extremely happy about the results. I think we had some amazing submissions, and it's just, the tip of the iceberg of what can be built on PARSIQ. So maybe, for the community to understand, what importance would the future SDK have, and what can developers do with it that they can't do without it, and what's the importance of this product release?
Yeah, sure. So we actually have planned not one but two SDKs. They do have different usability here. So first of them is that integration SDK. So for many projects, it is much more convenient not to work with the web interface or similar tools. They want to integrate PARSIQ into their code. So they want just for example, they want to subscribe to updates for particular like Ethereum address, for example, with some certain conditions, but they do not want to come to like our portal, do the setup, and I mean, if they want to change something, they have to schedule their update and update on our side. So it gets a little bit tricky at some points, like at these connection points, especially like if you want to release a new version of your product, and then you have to follow all the timings and update stuff on our side as well. What we will offer with this integration SDK is the ability to subscribe to on-chain events like right from your code. You will be able to filter those transactions. You will be able to monitor like various blockchains. It will be blockchain agnostic as usual. It's probably going to be like on our side, it's going to be all the same. It's going to be the smart triggers. Basically, I think that doesn't matter what it's going to be on our side, but on the client side, it will be much easier for them to manage all this stuff. And especially if people want, for example, browser notifications, like not native browser, but for example, like on Uniswap when the transaction is mined, and this sort of stuff, they will be able just to connect to our SDK and get all these notifications right to their front end, for example.
Yeah, so it expands the use cases and it gives developers like an easier access to creating smart triggers without having to go to the portal.
Yeah, and also, yeah, it actually increases the flexibility a lot.
Yeah. So it's been asked a few times in the community, but I think a really underrated milestone in terms of our future product updates is ParsiQL 2.0. So maybe you can tell the community a few words on how it's different and what will it allow that the current version doesn't, just at a high level.
Sure. So I think the first thing that I should mention is that everyone should understand that ParsiQL, like as the whole, is a proof of concept, and as any proof of concept that was done like very fast, just to deliver and see how it works, it obviously has its own flaws. And the first thing that we want to change with ParsiQL 2.0 is we are changing the technical platform overall platform. It's new core, it's new compiler, it's new runtime, it's everything new. And with this new stuff, what we will be able to achieve is that we will be actually able to expand it as much as we want, because right now we are very limited on the technical side just because of the way how it was made initially, because it was made really fast just to prove the concept, to see whether it actually facilitates those problems on blockchain. And with the new platform, we will be much more flexible to expand the language. And there will be many new things coming, but with the first release of ParsiQL 2.0, we will allow triggers, like one trigger, to work with multiple streams from different blockchains. Those streams will be able to produce events, and those events can be like caught by another streams, like by another trigger. For example, you can let's say your protocol, it's on Ethereum, Polygon, and BSC, for example. You have smart contracts there, and there, and you will be able to watch all the information on these three blockchains within one trigger, and you will be able to push this data further. Like you will have three different streams, you will push it further, and you will be able to aggregate data, use different kind of loops to manipulate your data in the same manner. Because what is important for us is to be blockchain agnostic. And if we talk, for example, about Ethereum blockchains all the information is purposely structured in one way, so you can easily work with this information, like without changing anything in your code. And I think what is even more important, that our triggers will be supporting reorgs on the blockchains, and your triggers actually will follow the reality of the blockchain. So it will have all the forks, but your main trigger and the state of your main trigger, it will always remain true. So you will never have information, like in your main timeline, you will never have information that is not relevant anymore. For example, that happened in the fork, and this fork actually was not continued. And your like main reality, it will always stay like the truth, like what happened on the blockchain. And it will be supported for all blockchains that we support. So it's like blockchain agnostic again. Yeah, and this works even if your trigger, for example, reads from different blockchains on at the same time. It will still be able to hold the state that is like the truth, like the main version of blockchain. And those are like basic concepts that we're doing like for initial version. It will require, of course, a lot of it will be pain to move from one runtime to another runtime, of course. And when this is done, we will have much more in backlog for ParsiQL for its further iterations.
All right, let's dive into the community questions. First question: reverse triggers and nCase. When? So I did explain in a Telegram AMA, I think, that nCase has been pushed in favor of some platform updates, new functionality, IQ protocol, and a lot of other things. But we will be using what we have already built with nCase in the future in reverse triggers. So when we come to the topic of reverse triggers, what about the basic version? Like on-chain actions. Basically, a trigger could trigger another transaction on the blockchain if the owner of the trigger signs this transaction. How hard, I know we've discussed this, how hard is it to implement? How much time?
Well, it is quite complicated, and let's say the nCase is one thing that should have helped us to move further with the reverse triggers, because right now the main problem is basically like key management, because of course we don't want to store the keys on our side, and no one actually would ever do that in their right mind, because I mean it's just full access to your contract, to your wallets and stuff like that. So we are still blocked by this particular problem, and we do have a couple ideas. I think we will be like testing them out like as proof of concept again, like various concepts. Maybe we will test them next year and see how it goes, like what solution looks more appealing for us. So of course we have like for reverse triggers, what we have first in mind is of course security.
Yeah, so the challenge is key storage, and the nCase's MPC technology is something that will help us build this out. And Q1 is meant for some serious testing, and after that we'll put a hard deadline on to when to release it in production. Now, what if we don't store the keys but just give the ability to build a trigger which can sign a transaction? So if the user himself will manually sign the transaction, this we've discussed on the suit solution work streams, and I think this will come earlier, like a basic version of on-chain actions.
Yeah, I mean, it's still there are some questions how to manage this, because we are, when trigger being triggered, basically. Yeah, user not necessarily being on the portal, so doesn't have access to MetaMask, but then there are some options there. So still have to test it out.
Yeah, it's not as simple as it sounds, but it's on the roadmap. We're working, and we'll release a basic version first, and then test the full version in Q1. And after that, we'll have a clear timeline on when we can get it into production. So we'll keep the community updated. So this one, the total rented on IQ, it was over 30 million. Now it's 5 million. Why are the totals so much lower? How does the renting pool work? So what you have to understand is it's right now it's in beta mode. So this is why we need early adopters to test it out. We're still figuring out the right models on how to do everything. And the reason why the amount fluctuates, you've seen it go up a lot, down a lot, up again, down again, and that's it's going to continue for a little while. Like you will see it from 5 million to 15, back to 10, then to 20, and so on, probably, or something similar. And one of the reasons for this is that some clients pay monthly, but they pay us, they pay the company in stable coins or fiat, which means we have to manually borrow for them. And we don't have recurring renting, so recurring subscriptions on the blockchain, right? We have to re-rent them. That's why the rented amount sometimes falls down as these rentals expire, and we do not do it immediately when fiat or stable coins come in. So it accumulates, and then we rent in larger chunks. This is the reason for the fluctuation. Of course, in the future, we will be automating this, so you will actually see in real time, or close to real time, the subscriptions and how they flow within the system and the product. Additionally, the rented amount is actually not as important as you might think, because currently, as we are playing with the pricing and the models and the ultimate interest rate discovery, the bonding curve and everything, the price also fluctuates. So sometimes rented 1 million can produce one type of APY, while another time it can be much higher or much lower for the same amount of rented tokens, the same 1 million. It depends on the pricing of the services, which services are chosen. It depends on the free liquidity in the pool. So it's not necessarily a metric to judge profitability. And obviously, if you look at Aave or Balancer, so I'm sorry, not Balancer, Aave and Compound, and you see like billions in these pools with a minuscule amount rented out, like 10% of this, 5% of this, 1%, or even zero. And APRs are also much lower than in IQ protocol. So it's close to zero on a lot of these pools. And yet people bring TVL there. So because even I guess for some pools, even earning something is better than nothing, and Compound also provides like liquidity mining rewards in the forms of Compound token. In our case as well, I mean, the APY, it is like it is. It's between 1% and 4%. It fluctuates. We'll see what the average is like in half a year. We expect it to grow as the amount of revenue on clients grows, but at the same time, if the amount deposited grows, that would again bring it down. So while we work on this to offset it, we have additional incentives like the 1 million PRQ program, and we have new ones coming up, because innovation takes time. This takes time to actually find equilibrium. And additionally, we have the IQ protocol governance token airdrop for early adopters, And this is exactly the reason. Early adopters, while we are still testing, while we are still figuring out the nitty-gritty details. So this is why early adopters will get rewarded. And while not trying to give much away in terms of the IQ protocol tokenomics, the token economics, but there will be also additional liquidity mining rewards in certain forms for certain pools. So yeah, keep an eye out for more details. I'd say that profitability and APY will not be an issue, at least for the PRQ pool. IQ Launchpad. I think we'll get Anatoly here before end of year, and then he can share his vision for this. Any plans for collaboration with Ivan and Tex Moralis? Might be a good idea. There are some use cases that overlap, but we know Ivan well, so I think we should strike up a conversation and find some synergies here. How many developers are currently working on PARSIQ vs IQ protocol? So what's the ratio, Danny?
That's a very good question, because like especially initially, it was a huge mix, because some developers, like at the beginning of IQ protocol, when it was not at the beginning, but at its final development stage, some was like taken away from the platform, given to the IQ. Now it's all more or less settled down. We have, I think we have 4 developers on the platform right now. On the monitoring platform itself, there is also 3 developers that are doing ParsiQL, and then there is IQ team as well. I can't tell for sure about the numbers, but then there is, of course, smart contract developers, front-end developers. There are a couple more guys that I don't know very well of, don't interact too much. But then, yeah, on the platform, I think we have around 7 guys, like 4 for the platform and 3 for the ParsiQL.
Yeah, so 7 developers in addition to quality QA, quality assurance, tech support, sales engineers, and product managers. And currently, it's the amount of developers is tilted towards the PARSIQ platform, but we are actively hiring for both. So if you know anyone, or if you want to apply, you're a developer, send a message to Danny. Do we need to do anything after staking PRQ tokens in IQ.space to be eligible for future rewards? No, if you staked, you're already raking up that eligibility. What are the non-B2B use cases of PARSIQ platform for end users? Any new ones? And I think I might have seen another similar question here. Maybe not, but yeah, we've just today we've had a nice discussion about some use cases for end users. Without giving everything away, maybe Danny can tease a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So we've been thinking a lot about our notification platform in general, because monitoring platform is not only about notifications. Of course, it's about triggering like third-party systems as well, for example. And but lately we've been thinking about notifications a lot, because there is a lot of people that want to interact with their users directly. So they don't want like to go the usual way, for example, sending notifications to Telegram chats or Discord or anywhere else. They want to notify their users directly. and they do not want to build anything on their side. And we have a very interesting idea how to solve this particular use case. I think the details will come sooner than later. So yeah, I'm very excited about this idea.
To set up trading not using PARSIQ, I need to call order book APIs of exchanges and store my credentials or keys. So PARSIQ platform works for on-chain events right now, and centralized exchange trades are not on-chain events. However, we have discussed the possibility that theoretically, in the future, we can work with any streams of data, not just blockchain streams. And that can include like whatever, Twitter feeds, Craigslist ads, or centralized exchange order book trades.
Yeah, this is a very interesting subject because like we've been talking about that a little, because being data platform, not necessarily for us, probably in the future, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's only blockchain data platform. It can be anything. Like with the technology that we're building and with the concept of streams, like when companies can push information to the streams, and then there are users, the subscribers, they subscribe to the streams. And what we do on our side, we guarantee that like every user will get this particular information that was sent to the stream. So there are actually a lot of different opportunities to discover in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think working with live streams of data is becoming more popular, and it opens up a lot of use cases, even outside of the blockchain. Hi, Danny, are there some new ideas for use cases of PARSIQ for retail? Well, I think you touched upon it a little bit. Would, for example, automated tax reports for every trade be possible?
Why not? I mean, not only like it is a little bit complicated with the real-time data, because like with the real time, the moment where you start to collect information is the point where you deploy the trigger, for example. And this concept, it doesn't work all the time, because sometimes your spendings, they started in the past, not today, and you want to aggregate it all. So to automate these sort of processes, I think what we have what we will have pretty soon is the historical triggers. They will be quite identical to like live triggers. So you will write the same ParsiQL code. There will be no difference how you manipulate with the data. It will be all the same information that is available in real time will be available in the like retrospective view as well. And all you will have to do is just specify like the starting block and ending block if you want to specify that as well. And with ParsiQL 2.0, you will be able to aggregate this data and further push it somewhere where you need it. So all sorts of reports, aggregations, all this sort of stuff, it will be possible. So should be very easy in the future.
Yep. Tax reports, accounting. I mean, I think these are all use cases that could be easily achievable, on ParsiQL. PRQ staking. It is live on IQ protocol, actually. How will PARSIQ handle autonomously signing transactions when reverse triggers release? Well, we briefly, touched upon this as well. It's related to the nCase technology we have been building. The sort of idea is to have a box where the keys are stored in a non-custodial way and use like MPC, multi-party computation. So I think also a good topic for Anatoly to give a couple of hours of lecture on this. he has thought this through quite well, and then it's basically nCase is based on this concept from Anatoly. Hi Danny, can you share the most complex workflow that PARSIQ's customers are using ParsiQL or product for today?
So, all right. The most complex, this is a good question, because I think it really depends, like what you consider most complex. We do have various clients. For some of them, we have built different solutions, not like some additions to our platform. Some of these additions actually made it to the platform. For example, ABI decoder, that is huge actually, because like the possibility to monitor like any on-chain events and any function calls was quite big, and it's still like we get a lot of attention for this functionality. But then regarding like your particular question, I don't think I can like highlight one client, because most of them are still about monitoring the blockchain and delivering those notifications to their channels or to their users, for example. Yeah, there are some companies that we built like custom solutions, for example, to deliver notifications like to end users. So it was like two-way integrations. There was one-way integrations. We do provide some APIs to make it easier. So there is like there is as many use cases in crypto as there are projects, basically. So we are trying to make tools to make it universal for everyone, more or less.
The hackathon results made us very excited for public projects. Me too. Any timeline for when this is releasing? Also, will the subscription of those public projects go through IQ protocol? Well, for public projects, I mean, the first step is the new UI UX, which is almost ready, right?
Yeah, actually, I think it goes into internal testing soon, and we should see it. I would say next month, but let's say Q4.
Yeah, and right after that, then the next step is what we call smart templates, which is sort of a library of pre-made triggers for specific use cases, and I think this will sort of serve as the MVP or sort of proof of concept for public projects, except that these projects will be at first from the PARSIQ team, and after that, the next step is when we allow anyone else to put their projects, their apps that they build public on the marketplace for others to subscribe.
Yeah, basically this is the idea. So the smart template is sort of MVP proof of concept for the future public projects. And actually in the beginning, I have mentioned that we have two SDKs, and I have talked only about one of them. I talked about like integration SDK, but something else that we are going to have is developer SDK. And basically this SDK will provide developers with the way to further extend our platform and ParsiQL. So developers will be able to make custom functions, custom integrations, and other users, they will be able to import those custom integrations and functions and all this sort of stuff into their project and use it. And I think there is a couple good ways to incentivize those. Actually, I think Tom had a couple great ideas about that, how it can be made on IQ as well.
Yeah, the basic idea was that these creators, these builders who have applications, built applications on the PARSIQ platform and put them on the marketplace, could monetize using IQ protocol, that they would all have small dedicated pools that others would have to rent from, and the rental fees would go to these builders. That's the sort of general high-level idea of how IQ can be used for public projects.
Yeah,
So
basically,
Yep.
yeah, sorry, I will just say a couple more words. So basically, yeah, public projects, I think, are somewhat tied to this SDK. And when we have that, like, the platform will be a very interesting place for developers with unlimited possibilities to, further upgrade the functionality that it has, like with any. This is actually a very interesting part of developer community, because they have a lot of ideas and they love to contribute. So we just only we can only see what it's going to be like.
Shoot this to the moon. Give us financial freedom for our kids. Yeah, well, the team does not move the price of the underlying asset. In my experience, yeah, it takes patience, it takes time, but the solutions that catch on and eventually are adopted, have network effects, and are successful, the underlying assets are also successful. That's sort of my experience. Will it be possible to adapt triggers to a DeFi exchange to automate buy sell?
Well, okay, so when it comes to the reverse triggers, why not? So if we talk about like decentralized finance, which means it's all on blockchain, not like with centralized solutions, I don't see how you can be stopped.
Is ParSIQ going to have new use cases in the future, or only what exists on the roadmap? Yeah, I think actually maybe December, January would be a good time to post a surprise roadmap with all the stuff that we have in plans. Definitely new use cases, new. Well, yeah, I cannot say those things without saying those things. Yeah, lots is coming. So we're going more heavily after developers and B2B as we have, and we're going to have products that help us achieve network effects and also get a lot of retail exposure. A lot of use cases. I can't say it anymore.
Yeah, and actually, one should understand that those use cases, they just born all the time. They coming from the clients that approach us because they are interested in the stack, but they want uh, something a little bit different. But then there are water cooler conversations every day in the office where these ideas just pop in, and it happens almost on a daily basis. So I think many new use cases are coming.
Will there be plans in place to not allow whales to suppress price growth when the I2 token releases? Well, I mean, in terms of the IQ governance token, the current fundraising round that we are finishing up, it will have very healthy distribution. That means a large number of investors with relatively small tickets. And this will also. So in PARSIQ, it wasn't so. Why? Because we raised in the depths of the bear market Unfortunately, not a lot of interest in the public sale at that time, because not a lot of interest in crypto at that time. So we sourced most of the funding from private investors who got large chunks of the network, of the token, and this is why it may seem that some the distribution before has been tilted, but I think it has very nicely redistributed over the last year. With IQ protocol, it will be different because, first of all, very fair distribution. Secondly, large community distribution using the airdrop, and also we have very long cliffs, lockups, and vesting schedules for every investor in the private rounds. In addition, it's worth mentioning that anyone can become a whale by buying enough of this asset. So you can become a whale. Wen CoinMetro staking. I think maybe Q1 would be a right time to start working on this. IQ protocol will be far enough along that we can have many front ends on different places for the protocol, including centralized exchanges like CoinMetro. Will ParsiQ create a website for end users to come and rent out digital assets directly with ParsiQ instead of integrating with other businesses? So I think you mean IQ protocol, and I think well, the integrations are necessary because we need these other businesses, games, dApps, projects to ideally support the IQ wrapped versions of assets. And so far so good. We have quite a lot on board, but we will also, so IQ protocol will also have its own app or front end where you can do so you don't have to go to those projects as front ends necessarily. And being a decentralized protocol at the blockchain layer, even the community can create a front end for the protocol. Any T1 update? Yeah, it's every AMA, one question at least. As was said, we have updated some governance features, implemented some security measures. That's two of the, let's say, US-based or highly regulated exchanges requested. We have done an audit for this. Audit has been submitted, and we now wait for next steps. So everything is in progress, and that's all I can share, because if I knew more, I couldn't say publicly. What's the feasibility of integrating ParsiQ with KDA, Kadena? Any updates on staking through CoinMetro? CoinMetro question I already answered. Kadena, yeah, Danny, your blockchain team can integrate Kadena, not a problem. But what about the pipeline and the priorities?
Yeah, so I don't think that integrating Kadena is a problem. Of course, we don't have it in the pipeline for the very near future. We do, of course, have it in pipeline because we have a giant list of blockchains in the backlog. But right now we have focused on some other things. I don't think I can disclosure all of them. We have, as you probably already noticed, Polygon coming very soon. We do have some other layer 2 blockchains coming in the next month, beginning of the next year. So there is a lot of things coming, and the time for Kadena will come.
Yep, just a matter of priority. First things first, but Kadena has been doing really well, hoping to see more adoption and people building on it. And definitely we'll get there in the backlog and then the pipeline to integrate KDA.
Normally, the integrations are not that complicated, and once there is actual interest in the market, and from the businesses, this pushes the priorities up.
Is the PARSIQ price going to be affected once IQ protocol goes live? Can you explain how they are connected and how they work together? So IQ protocol is a DeFi protocol. It will have its own token, its own dedicated team, and it will be governed by a community DAO. And the IQ governance token will give DAO members the right to vote on protocol proposals, among many other things. It is not. So it's not connected to the PARSIQ token. One is not connected with the other token. And I would even say that this is a positive development for PARSIQ, because if we before said that most IQ protocol projects who will be using IQ protocol will have to also use PARSIQ platform. So now with the changes we've made, not most, but absolutely every one of them will have to use the PARSIQ platform to empower these use cases. So I think it's just an additional revenue stream for PARSIQ, additional pipeline. And also I do think that IQ protocol launching is good for PRQ stakers in the PRQ pool on the IQ protocol, because there will be additional incentives involved, liquidity mining program. It's part of the whole tokenomics of IQ protocol that we will share end of year. Yeah, you bought your son PARSIQ. He's not happy, but in the future he will thank you. Yeah. Danny, will you buy your son PRQ?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It's the best investment. Better than a bike.
Will it be easy for those holding a long time PARSIQ to get the IQ token? So if you're staking, you will be part of the IQ community airdrop. So you will get IQ protocol tokens. If you're not staking, we will do a whitelist sale with the limited caps, limited tickets in Q1. And we are seriously considering of for giving PRQ holders, for them to be first in line to bid for the whitelist sale. So obviously when the token goes live on decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges, then you can also purchase the IQ protocol token and trade it. What about to integrate services Netflix or Amazon Prime to the IQ protocol? Yeah, well, what I've learned when talking to, let's say, traditional non-crypto native companies, and I mean, during Breakpoint, the team, I've received emails, and I generally receive at least 5 emails a month from traditional private equity VCs, non-crypto, who don't have any blockchain related companies in their portfolio, and I receive emails from them because they're interested in what we're doing. Why? Well, my guess is that that they are looking to get into the space because they are now understanding that the space will remain and it will become bigger and bigger. And at the same time, full DeFi or NFT is too exotic for them. So they are looking for things like SaaS and infrastructure and data, and PARSIQ is seems like a very good fit for them. So that's why they reached out a lot to us, cold, very big VCs from world-class ones with billions of assets under management. And I usually take a call with them, even though we are not fundraising, and I take a call with them because yeah, it's for general educational purposes, and what I understand is that we are still early. Everyone who is in blockchain right now, in crypto, PARSIQ, everything we're building, we're still early. Once the big boys really come in, the opportunities will be massive. So right now, speaking to Netflix and Amazon for decentralized blockchain subscriptions is a bit early. It might be good to educate them, but they won't come on board at this point. But when they do go in, one day, they will go in big. One of Tom and Anatoly's favorite. Anyway, yeah. You'll have to ask Anatoly. Mine, I can't say I've watched a huge amount, but Death Note is one of the best. Danny, do you have a favorite one?
Unfortunately, cannot add here a lot because have never watched any anime. Not my cup of tea.
How will the IQ protocol token sale be set? Will PRQ stakers get to buy at ICO? So the public white sale will be limited in amount, so there will likely be a decent amount of demand, and tickets will be capped for participation. But yeah, those people who are holding or staking or any other ways own PRQ might have first dibs on the whitelist sale. However, we are still figuring out how to make this fair to everyone because we want good distribution and everyone to have a chance at participating. Share Netflix subscriptions by renting them out. Yeah, that's sort of the idea behind IQ. So you have something, you have a membership, you have a subscription, you have some kind of right or access right things. And if you're not using it, you can sublease it, sub-rent it. So definitely use case. All details regarding the IQ protocol token, the whole token economics will be revealed either December or January. What do you think about AVAX and integration anytime soon planned? Yeah, I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Avalanche, and we've spoken with their team. Definitely in the pipeline. Just a couple of ones before that, right?
Yeah, generally not much to add. We do look into Avalanche, of course, and its time will come, and I think it's not that far in the future.
What's been the response interest of since launch on AWS? Yeah, well, it's more visibility for us, so definitely had some good contacts from just being in the partner network. However, we have some a great use case with AWS, like direct integration and value add for AWS that we have in mind, and not that difficult for us to implement because we have all these blockchain systems ready, and we will share more information soon. Will IQ protocol be an Ethereum network? It's relatively easy for us to deploy it on Ethereum, but with the fees, it's just not feasible right now. I mean, we might do it, but I don't think so. It's not really. I mean, for smaller stakers, smaller holders, if claiming the rewards eats up your yearly reward, it just doesn't make sense. So we'd rather focus on other chains and on layer twos. In terms of Netflix and established companies, how does profit sharing fit into their business model? What value advantage does it give them in return for giving away a part of their revenue? Well, a lot of these are, publicly traded stocks, companies, and they give dividends, which means they give away a part of their revenue, of their profit. Anyway, this is just another model of doing this on the blockchain in a decentralized way, and also have like participants, think stockholders, but in here it will be token holders who are participating in the network to do work in the network. So the logic is the same. They have stockholders, they're giving away part of the revenue to the stockholders, but in this case it will be decentralized, trustless, permissionless, will be fair in an ideal world, of course. And also the holders, just like stockholders, can go to stockholder meetings to vote. Then in this case, like if there would be a Netflix DAO, then the token holders could vote on which part of the revenues will be distributed and which parts will be left into the company. I think we have long ways to go there, but this is the goal. Any plans to launch a series of videos explaining PARSIQ, ParsiQL, and IQ? Yeah, we are working on one. I think it's more like B2B related. But Danny, what do you think about more technical ones, regarding ParsiQL and related stuff?
Yeah, for sure that is coming. I know that Ivan is already doing some of them, specified on like particular use cases. And I think when we have like upgrade for ParsiQL, we can do this sort of animations, for example, because this is like more more interactive, more engaging type of videos than just voiceover of web interface of platform. So I think animations can be like a great and informative way to show off the platform. And of course there is basically just no reason to start it like this particular moment before we release ParsiQL 2.0, because if we start to do it now, it's just will be waste of the resource, because in a couple months we will have to redo it all over again.
Yep. The Anatoly picture is an NFT. Yeah, the team has lots of interesting ideas, some of which we will bring to life about PARSIQ and IQ NFTs. So the team will share more informations once it's time. Danny, I think we are out of time here. So thank you for joining. Thanks for giving all these insights on the product, on the future developments. I'm super excited. I'm hyped about the hackathon. We should do them every month. Yeah. So you could check all the submissions, all the GitHub submissions. Yeah. But yeah, I think the results were awesome. And once we have the SDK, the developer hub, ParsiQL 2.0, public marketplace, smart templates, imagine the network effects for developers who can build applications on PARSIQ for others to use could be major. I'm definitely hyped.
Yeah, thank you, Tom, for having me. I'm really looking forward for the future of monitoring platform. We have so many amazing ideas, and yeah, we just shall see what the next year brings us. I believe it's going to be huge for the platform.
Agreed. Really, the future for the platform looks great, especially with the type of companies testing it right now, with the developers being more active. I see adoption growing a lot, especially considering where the space is going. Anyway, thanks, Danny. Thanks, big thanks to the community for tuning in, and see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye.